Hello, good evening. Today I want to talk to you about a great man who I admire a lot. His name is Isaac Asimov. He was born on January 2nd, 1920, in Petrovich, Russia. Isaac Asimov immigrated with his family to the United States and became a biochemistry professor while pursuing writing. He published his first novel, Pebble in the Sky, in 1950. An immensely prolific author who penned nearly 500 books. He published influential scientific works like Robots and the Foundation Trilogy, as well as books in a variety of other genres. Asimov died in New York City on April 6, 1992. I really like him a lot. So let's talk a little bit about him. Early life and education. Isaac Asimov was born Isaac Ludovic Asimov on January 2nd, 1920, in Petrovich, Russia, to Anna Rachel Berman and Judah Asimov. The family immigrated to the United States when Asimov was a toddler, settling into the East New York section of Brooklyn. Around this time, the family name was changed to Asimov, was better for the pronunciation. Judah owned a series of candy shops and called upon his son to work in the store as a youngster. Isaac Asimov was fond of learning at a young age, having taught himself to read by the age of 5. He learned Yiddish soon after and graduated from high school at 15 to enter Columbia University. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree in 1939 and went on to get his master's degree and PhD from the same institution. In 1942, he wed Gertrude Luberman. In 1949, Asimov began a stint at Boston University School of Medicine, where he was hired as an associate professor of biochemistry. In 1955, he eventually became a professor at the university by the late 1970s, though by that time he given up full-time teaching to do occasional lectures. One of his famous books is I, Robots and Foundation. Yet, even with his impeccable academic credential, writing for general readers was to be the professor's passion. Asimov's first short story to be sold, Marooned of Vesta, was published in Amazing Stories in 1938. Years later, he published his first books in 1950, the scientific novel Pebble in the Sky, which I mentioned before, the first in a line of titles that would mark a highly prolific writer career. This is why I love this man, because he's an excellent writer. An influential vision came with another 1950 release, the story of collection I, Robot, which looked at human construction relationships and featured the three laws of robotics. Asimov would later be credited with coming up with the term robotics. But the year 1951 saw the release of another seminal work, Foundation, a novel that looked at the end of the galactic empire and a statistical method of predicting outcomes known as psychohistory. The story was followed by two more installations, Foundation and Empire, and Second Foundation, with series continued into 1980s. Asimov was an amazing man. I repeat it one and again. Now let's talk about the religion, what he believed. Isaac Asimov was an atheist, a humanist, and a rationalist. He did not oppose religious conviction in others, but he frequently railed against superstition and the beliefs that try to pass themselves of the genius science. Let's talk about something different about him. Let's talk about politics. Asimov became a staunch supporter of the Democratic Party during the New Deal and thereafter remained a political liberal. He was a vocal opponent of the Vietnam War in the 1960s, and in a television interview during the early 1970s, he publicly endorsed George McGovern. He was unhappy about what he considered an irrationalist viewpoint taken by many radical political activists from the late 1960s. Now, I found something very interesting to talk about, like 20 things about Asimov. That would be great. Number one, he was an exceptional prolific writer. He wrote or edited over 500 volumes and estimated 90,000 letters or postcards and has works in every major category of the Dewey Decimal System except philosophy. His personal papers achieved at Boston University Muggles Memorial Library consumed 464 boxes on 232 feet, 71 meters on shelf space. And number two, Asimov died, this is really sad, from AIDS-related complication. He contracted the HIV from an infected blood transfusion during a heart bypass surgery in 1983. The cause of his death was kept secret by his widow for over a decade after his death. So just by a transfusion, he got AIDS, and this is why he died, but he was an amazing man. Likes and dislikes. Asimov was afraid of flying. He only flew twice in his life. He was also a claustrophile. Example, he enjoyed small enclosed spaces. Association. He was a staunch Democrat. He was also a member of Mensa. Honors. The asteroid 5020 Asimov is named after him, so is Honda's humanoid prototype robot Asimov. Early life. Asimov taught himself to read at the age of 5. His interest in science fiction magazines led him to write his own, and by his mid-teens, he was selling his stories to pulp magazines. He graduated from Columbia University, also got his PhD in chemistry there. He thereafter joined the faculty in Boston University and remained associated with it till the end. He was very brilliant, a very brilliant man. In his foundation series, he developed a fictional science of psychohistory, in which he featured cores of the history of large population and can be predicted. In his robot series, I, Robot, he developed the 3 laws of robotics, a set of rules of ethics for robots and intelligent machines that has greatly influenced the way writers and thinkers in the field look at the subject. For the film I, Robot, featuring Will Smith, Asimov's ideas were incorporated as well after the process of acquiring the rights of the title. He published a 1,300 pages, 2-volume Asimov's Guide to the Bible. He wrote 3 autobiographies, the last one published after his death. His widow, Janet Asimov, was his second wife, also came out with a condensed version of his 3 autobiographies, which incidentally revealed the real cause of his death for the first time. It was really sad. Asimov has been criticized for the lack of sex and aliens in his science fiction, but I really don't mind. And next one, towards the end of his life, he published a series of collection of line breaks, mostly written by himself. He is considered in the 1950s to be his golden decade. He wrote science fiction mostly in the first 2 decades and in the last decade of his life. What else can we say about him? I just wanted to talk about Asimov because I have read some books, not that they are not science fiction. What I read was about history, about the universe, and I really enjoyed. He's an excellent writer. He was a doctor in chemistry, but why I admire him is because of his good writing in English. He has 2 quotes who are very famous. If my daughter told me I had only 6 minutes to live, I wouldn't brought. I type a little faster. That's really cute. Second quote, I prefer rationalist to atheism. The question of God and other objects of faith are outside reason and play no part in rationalism. Thus, you don't have to waste your time in either attacking or defending. So I really hope that you understood a little bit about Asimov and that maybe you can begin reading him because he's an amazing man. Thanks.